and Bama head coach Nick Saban is not taking the Gators for granted.
This is an outstanding team that we're playing. They wouldn't be in the SEC championship game if they weren't. And I think anybody out there that thinks this is not going to be a real challenge and a real test for our team is, I don't know what you're thinking.
Pac-12 championship game, Eastern Time, 7:45 at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. USC and Stanford, the Cardinal in the title game for the third time in the last 4 years. Big Ten championship game is Michigan State at Iowa, 8 o'clock Eastern Time in Indianapolis. Michigan State quarterback Connor Cook broke down what he plans to see.
King, he's around like 6'1 or 6'2, so he's a relatively bigger corner, but it's just something. We have great receivers, so we're looking forward to the matchup. And I would say for sure, looking at their defense, Iowa's defense, I think their secondary is for sure their strong point.
And the ACC title game will have number 1 Clemson taking on number 10 North Carolina at 8 o'clock at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. Some baseball news today is Jeff Samardzija and the Giants are reportedly agreeing on a 5-year deal worth about $90 million. Elsewhere in the college football landscape, Ohio State defensive coordinator Chris Ash expected to be named the next head football coach at Rutgers. And a quick check on the NBA as the Philadelphia 76ers are leading 88-81 over the Nuggets with just about 10 minutes to play in the fourth quarter, looking for their second win of the season. Remember to listen to NBC Sports Radio on your local station, online, and the mobile app. I'm Keith Irizarry.
This is KCAA.
As the owner of my business, I wear a lot of hats. I'm accounting, sales, and so much more. But I don't know marketing.
Let Dex Media be your marketing department. Our team can create a digital plan for you with everything from search to social. Contact Dex Media, that's DEX Media, to get found, get chosen, and get talked about.
Whoa, that's a job for cleanup, which would be me.
Call 844-230-3436 or visit dexmedia.com today.
Hey, Di, do you know that many people have no idea that the Carousel Mall is actually open?
What? Do you tell them that that's where KCAA is located?
Of course, but there's more than just KCAA here.
Oh, I know. It's a totally great place for a girls' outing. Here at the Carousel Mall, there's Mega Beauty Supply.
And it's huge.
Yeah, the biggest beauty supply store I've ever seen. And they have wigs and extensions.
Then there's Backstreet Beauty Salon and Daniel's Jewelers, a store, by the way, for girls and guys.
Yes, and Nail Fashions where they do waxing and eyelash extensions. There's Lisa's Threading. You know, Mark, eyebrow threading is a big thing nowadays.
I do know about Mr. Yu's.
Yes, when you're ready for lunch, it's Mr. Yu's Chinese restaurant.
Best of all, Mr. Yu's is right next to KCAA.
Yes, all this located in the Carousel Mall, right off the 215, the 2nd and 3rd Street exit.
Come visit the Carousel Mall. We're open.
For more info, go to kcaaradio.com.
Leading with over 10 million searches, a shooting rampage in San Bernardino, California left the nation in shock. The shooting took place at the Inland Regional Center. At least 14 are dead and 21 wounded. The FBI is investigating several possible motives, including workplace violence and terrorism. Also trending with over 2 million searches, Target struggled keeping up with record traffic on Cyber Monday. Customers received a message asking them to hold tight. Target says the online volume was twice as high as its busiest day ever, which was Thanksgiving. And NBA legend Kobe Bryant has decided to hang up his sneakers, leaving many fans anticipating his next steps. Bryant states in his retirement poem, "My body knows it's time to say goodbye." Kobe Bryant's last home game with the Lakers will be April 13th. This had over 1 million searches. I'm Successful Brim with what's trending this week on KCAA 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
KCAA is your CNBC News affiliate. We're the station that gets down to business.
Welcome to I'm Mad as Hell with Lloyd Brock and Greg Simpson. Now, if you want to share your anger, this is the station, KCAA, every Saturday at 12 noon. If you're mad as hell at the government, politicians, IRS, your bank, a car dealer, or the court system, let us know. You may want to be one of our in-studio guests, or just call in and vent that anger. 1-888-909-1050 or 909-888-5222 locally. We may not be able to resolve your individual problems, but we will give you a forum to share your anger with our listeners. Now, join us at KCAA 1050 AM and at kcaaradio.com or check us out at Ustream. Now, here's Lloyd and Greg.
Take it anymore.
Not again.
I'm mad as hell.
I know what you're mad as hell about, because I'm mad as hell as well. And I'm sure all of San Bernardino County is.
Sad, too. I mean, it's a sad
so sad
state of affairs. And our condolences goes out to all the people involved in this shootout, this terrorist act. As they say, at least now they call it a terrorist act.
Right.
FBI's attack as act of terror. And everybody's upset. They said, what can we do about it? How could we have prevented it from happening? And all of these other, and especially right here in San Bernardino, California.
Yeah, 2.5 miles from the studio.
Yeah, well, 2.5 miles from the studio is where it happened. That's
Yes.
right, where we are right now.
Where we are right now, yeah.
I live 8 blocks from the house.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
In Redlands.
What a wake-up call, huh?
Well, yeah, we're 60 miles from L.A. Everybody would have thought, that a terrorist attack would come in a metropolitan area or something, but these are called soft targets. As I say, there was not much security, and they could get in and
get out, yeah,
quite easily.
Even escape, they didn't even catch the people. That's
well, yeah, but and then
unheard of.
Nobody seems to know why this happened, but they're blaming it on the guns.
Yeah.
And they say, we need more gun control. It's not that, as I say.
Too bad somebody in the deal didn't have a gun, know how to control it.
Guns don't kill people, people do.
That's right.
And if we didn't have these, like that one woman said, she'd use her axe.
Her axe, yeah.
Or an ice pick, or a
whatever
knife,
they had, whatever, hammer, whatever.
Fire.
Yeah.
To destroy people. I mean,
Sure.
people are going to do it regardless. And you can't get more gun legislation because, like I said before, we did the statistics, and it said that 93% of all gun crimes are committed with stolen weapons.
Yeah.
Now, in this situation here at San Bernardino, I guess the 2 handguns were registered by the individual.
Shooter, yeah,
but the rifles were not.
Were not.
They were legally registered, but by somebody else.
They were legal to purchase, but what did they do with them?
Probably a straw buy.
Probably a straw buy, yeah.
And that's how that happens now. So that couldn't have prevented any background check of this individual, even if you were on the no-fly list.
Sure. Yeah.
But of course, that didn't go through.
Right.
So it's just anybody that wants to air their grief or any thoughts on this, please feel free to call us. The local number, 1-909-888-5222.
Or toll free at 1-888-909-1050.
Yeah, we'd like to hear from you. And we've got, as they say, the rationale for this. I've got my own opinions.
It's very good. Why don't you share it with our listeners? I think
I think that
excellent.
the human need for meaning is, at any cost, is responsible for a lot of these homegrown terrorists. And as I say, if they have a void in their life and there's no meaning to it, a lot of time religion takes over. And I don't care what kind of religion. A lot of times people say, hey, we can give you meaning to your life now.
Yeah.
And you have,
whatever it is,
ever after happiness.
Okay.
Even if it's going up there with the 72 virgins or whatever.
Whatever might be the case, yes.
But people buy into that, and I know all too often, because I've talked to some women that are in the dating pool, and the first thing out of their mouths is, where is Jesus in your life? Is he number one? Yeah. And if he's not, they don't want to talk to you.
They don't want to even talk to you.
That's the only thing that it has meaning for them in their life today is that religion. And I don't have any problem with that.
No, I don't either. But,
but I mean, if that gives
that's
them
the right entity, though.
as long as it's not radical.
Radical, exactly.
I mean, it can be radical Islam. It can be radical Scientology.
Scientology.
So, you know as
yeah,
well as I
know
do,
a little
but
bit
just-
about that, yeah.
And now it's coming out that a lot of these techniques that were used is kind of brainwashing.
Sure.
But there's a certain personality that falls into that category that, is very needy. And evidently, this guy here was very needy, and he found a woman online that was a good
candidate.
Yeah, she was into.
Well, you do hypnotism, so this is kind of down your alley, really.
Well, I did in the past.
In the
I was
past,
professional hypnotist in Vegas and things like that. But this is a matter of certain people can be subjected to this hypnosis, regardless if it's religious.
Okay.
A lot of people will buy into that because of constant bombardment from other people involved in this religion and say, this is the way to go, this is the path. Pretty soon you believe it.
Okay.
And that's a form of hypnosis. And you look at Adolf Hitler. He did a pretty good job over the entire nation.
The entire nation, yeah.
And he blamed the Jews for everything that was happening, and
people
bought into it.
Yeah.
And as I say, that the whole nation was hypnotized. But we can't afford to do this. So we have to, they said, how in the world do we miss this? Because this man was an American citizen, was here, had a job, everything else. How do we miss him not being on the terrorist list and all these other things? But these individuals, as I say, are the tools of the ISIS too.
Sure.
They want individual homegrown terrorists.
And I'm
to
sure
do
the
job
woman
for
was
them.
probably that.
And the fear factor is there.
Sure.
And I don't know, you can, what is the protection for this type of thing? It's critical thinking. We don't all have to be have PhDs to do this.
Right.
To understand that a lot of these things are not what they are supposed to be.
Right. Yeah.
And they say, if you buy into the doctrine, like this gentleman here, and I don't want to name him because, that would just add credence to
what he did.
That terrorist deal, but
Sure.
he memorized the Quran. Now, just like us, I know people that have memorized the Bible too.
Sure.
But he memorized the Quran, and that gave him more meaning to his life. And then he married this woman who has already been radicalized, and then that on top of the religious thing that he was into, he went over the top.
Yeah, I take it a step further. She come over here with that mission. She was dating, trying to find this man that she could hook up with here and come over and kill us. And that's how I feel.
That's true too. Let's say we've got somebody on the line now. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello, it's David from England again.
Hi, David.
Oh yeah, David.
Hiya, guys. Yeah, I feel so sorry for you guys down there having that happen, especially a vulnerable group. Like, I understand it was the group that had been targeted had been were they carers or disabled people or something like that?
Well, that was the building there. They had actually leased that auditorium where this party was taking place. Was for the Department of Public Health, and they were just having a function there. The building, there were 3 buildings there, and some were for helping disabled people. And
so there you go. So that's like a group of people that trying to do good that are being extraditionally blighted by people that are trying to do them harm.
Yeah.
And then also, the fact that people enjoy using guns and things in your country, and then a few people can literally damage it for the other 300 million of you.
Well,
So-
I don't know about enjoy, but we do have them for defense, and our Second Amendment says that we can
protect
ourselves. And mostly
But
it
one
was...
of the things I noticed when I was looking at your show just now is that what you're doing is you put yourself in sort of the position, and you try to logically work out what's going through these people's minds.
Well, no, I can't get inside of his head. Nobody can.
But you're logically thinking, well, I've been upset before. I punched a wall. I know people who've got religions and things. So you're thinking, maybe trying to sort of rationalize the madness. But it's not like that. It's from, I think my point of view is that their position is skewed. So it's like their mind adds 2 and 2 and they get 5. So to them, that is right. If you add 2 and 2 and you get 5, and as long as you get it every time, you're right. You're wrong in real life, but you're right in terms of that's what you believe to be right. So your mind is damaged. Now, human beings aren't like bottles of Coca-Cola in the factory. When they make a load of bottles of Coca-Cola, some of them don't get positioned right and they get damaged and they just throw them in the bin. But with human beings, we can't do that. We mass produce 7 billion of us.
That's
and the ones that don't come out right, they die. But what about the ones that are just not quite right? Well, how do we know? They end up, the guys taking up the rifles and things.
Well,
and I think
you've got to have, everybody seems to, just like goals. You've got to have goals and you've got to have meaning to your life. Otherwise, it's empty. And a lot of times religion, even the radicalized religions, actually fill that void. And they'll do anything. And I say, if it says that 2 and 2 are 5, they believe that according to their doctrines. And they pretty soon, regardless of how intelligent they are.
It also sounds like escapism. So a bit like when you're playing a computer game or when you're in a team or a group and someone else isn't in that group, it's okay to win or beat them because you're not the same as them. And disenfranchised people, they begin to think of themselves as, oh, it's okay. These people they're not even people. They're completely different from me, so I can do whatever I want to them. And invariably, it's some sort of aggressive thing, and that's because they must be very angry and depressed about something, and also got something very wrong with their heads. But I don't think there's a treatment for it. I don't think we can sit them down and give them a talk. I think quite, the opposite.
No, but if you were to give these people a psychiatric,
I think maybe we could. The only other things we could suggest would be to, again with money. I know I keep saying this, but give people money. People are susceptible to things. Give people money to rat on their friends if they see them getting radicalized. Give people money to come back if they have been radicalized. Instead, if you do end up going down that radicalization route, what's going to happen to you? You've got to go long haul, haven't you? And the pressure of it makes you even more pressurized.
No, but that's another factor
as well. So that sort of from that angle,
there's no simple answer to this terrorism thing. This is deep and rooted, and it's been here since 600 BC. It's not new. The Crusades showed it.
I don't know, again, if that's true, actually, because realistically, we've only really had this period of freedom for us as people from about 18, basically. Beyond then, all of us were just, unless you owned some land or something, we were all just farmhands and workers and working in mills and getting our fingers cut off by the machines. All of us were, even man or woman or black or white. We all were. So we were all basically, I wouldn't say slaves, but we were all virtually poverty-stricken, with very, very little rights, So we've all been terrorized by society for years and years. Nobody's had it great. And all these countries have been at each other's throats for years and years, but that doesn't, as a group, as a society, we've got a social conscience, and what I mean by that is, once something's happened, you can't go back from it. You can't unlearn something. You can't. You can't. But you can't. Even if you wanted to, you can't. You can't go back to that stage once you've lost your innocence. So I think periods like that happen in our history, and I think that these terrorists will be a thing of the past at some point. But I don't think it will be anything to do with us guys discussing it. I don't think that's the way it works. I think incidents happen in our collective consciousness, in our collective psyche.
No, but you've got that same problem.
So we can't go back.
That same problem in England.
Sure.
And it's an ever-present situation there. where you've had bombings and things like that, and I'm sure that they're.
I don't know. I just when you speak to people, the media big it up in a very I don't want to be, but the media basically in our country as well, they're basically owned by the same groups and stuff. But basically, it's just all of it is widely known to be, only about 10% truth, if that. And a lot of it is just pictures of people and just completely spurious, wild stuff that's not collaborated properly, and they do all that. Some people say, and you might think this and all that sort of thing, and it looks like it's genuine news, but it isn't, because, realistically, there must be something wrong with this society if there's millions of terrorists in the world. There isn't, realistically. Most people are just doing their jobs and things, but it just looks bad. Anyway, that wasn't the thing I was mad as hell about. It was just you trying to rationalize that. I thought you might do your head in.
No, well, it's, as they say, we're living in fear. And even my grandson this morning says, "Dad, Grandpa, you better get your gun out, And he said, and I said, I'm not going to live in that fear mode. I said, I've got a gun and I will use it if somebody tries to invade my house or my thing, but I don't carry normally. But I'm not going to tell anybody when I don't carry.
When you don't carry.
Yeah, that's true. But, the whole thing is based, we can't have, as you said, pay people to watch their neighbors. That's Big Brother watching. We've had enough of that.
That's right.
Well, so even to pay your own, to pay your own self, if you thought you were going to be radicalized, maybe you could say something and get. So, if you're getting radicalized, then you'd have to stop work and get treatment, where you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose your self-esteem. But actually, maybe if we had a program where actually, if you came forward and say, "Look, I am being radicalized here,"
well, I'm an idiot. Actually, this individual money, here,
and paid your bills whilst you got de-radicalized, rather than having us all in massive fear. And then maybe people could enjoy their lives, and maybe especially for you guys, you could own rifles and things. Because I could imagine this thing. Realistically, loads of people will probably be thinking, "God, did they have to do that over here? Because I like shooting my rifle on the weekends and stuff." Whereas now, I'm going to get it banned, aren't I? Just because of some nutters, and they are insane. They are disenfranchised. They're cracked in the head. They're not rational people doing what they think is right. They're irrational people who you find screaming at things in the street sometimes, but just the other version, they're just Islamified. It would be other things, drink or drugs, if it wasn't that. So I don't think there's anything to worry about, especially out of 300 million people.
No, but you've got a lot of people out there that didn't even recognize that he was this far gone. As far as the people they worked with said, "What a nice person," and then they had a baby shower for the guy's baby just recently, and they were friendly with him and had no idea. And where I live in Redlands, it's only 8 blocks from where they lived, and yet the neighbor saw a lot of activity one night or several nights, and packages being delivered on a regular basis, and it was suspicious, and she was going to turn them in, but then she didn't want to become a racist.
Yeah, we tip, and we do have organizations that reward for information.
Your wife at the airport.
Yeah, my wife at the airport. She's fits no profile, and they take and almost strip her down naked when right after 911. Why? And there was some other people that were wearing their burqas and everything else. They walked straight through. Why?
Well, they didn't want to profile.
And also, I don't think it's Islam related, because Islam is basically pacifist. That's why they make terrible, terrible soldiers. The Iraqi army, a lot of them wouldn't fire their guns. The planes wouldn't go in the sky. They were apologizing to people's towns that they'd invaded and stuff. They were terrible soldiers, the Iraqis.
Yeah.
And the Syrians are just as bad. Instead of fighting for their legitimate government, they're all ran away, because I would say a good 2/3, 50% of Islam is pacifist, like really pacifist, because they so much believe that this isn't the final stage, that they don't mind being shot or killed. And they won't lift even a hand to defend their own selves, because it's not all that there is. A lot of them just, especially those big rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris, a lot of them hang around there because they believe of themselves to be like in a flow, and they've got to be near the water, and they like go back into the water all the time, and it's just a ridiculous notion. But there is actually a large swathe of Islam that's pacifist.
Yeah, I wouldn't I wouldn't take a paintbrush and say that every one of them was that way. You're going to have those types in all societies. But, and we've made mistakes. A lot of the mistakes where we shouldn't have been there in the first place. But because this is
gone on. Also, remember, they are Arab, not Muslim. Like we think of ourselves as Christian, and we identify the Christianness is separate to our whiteness. But is that no? Yeah, separate. And so we assume that their Arabness is separate from their religion, but it's not. Being an Arab and being a Muslim is kind of like not the same, but it looks the same. And a lot of the Islamic stuff you think is Islamic, those burqas and everything, and the praying 5 times a day, and a lot of the way they behave, it is not in the Quran. It's a lot of that is just it's not Islam, basically. And a lot of that, Islam says things about if someone apologizes to you, you basically have to accept the apology. And it says you have to thank other people all the time and stuff. So you would just be a nation of really polite, quiet people. So, which some, like Bosnians are, basically. Bosnians, they were pacifists as well. They're terrible at fighting. Awful. They got slaughtered so bad, didn't they? Because they won't put up a fight.
The Kurds are very good fighters, though.
Yeah, the Kurds do fight.
Yeah, the Kurds fight.
Yeah, I wouldn't describe them as Muslims. I would describe them as there's a version of Islam that like you've got God in heaven, well, you've also got the devil in hell. Yeah. Well, in a certain version of Islam, you've got the God in heaven, and you've got the another God of hell, the devil, and he's on an equal footing to God of heaven. So you've got God of heaven and the devil God, and they're basically devil worshippers, and they live in those. Well, they get called devil worshippers. They're not devil worshippers, but they're basically that law or like that. That's why
fallen angel.
If you've got devil inclinations, you would be quite good fighters.
If anybody out there is a Muslim and would like to defend themselves on this, I mean, feel free to call us. I mean, and talk about
anything you want.
Your peaceful religion.
Yeah, I mean, praying 5 times a day wouldn't leave you much for killing people, should it, really?
No.
So realistically, when's he going to wash his hands? So I wouldn't... but what I was going to talk about... sorry, I know I'm taking up all your time. I'm mad as hell here, but...
well, this is what our program's
about sensitivity training at work, or about going to jail, and how I don't think it's... also how I don't think democracy works. Do you want any of those topics?
Yeah.
Going to jail? Do you want me to hear?
We've got a break in a minute for commercial, and if you want to stay on the line, we'll be glad to talk to you.
We'll be glad to hear it.
But,
something.
The other subjects, I mean, there's so many other things that we could talk about that gear around this, but and somebody nationwide is upset, and you can see in the media, they just constantly talk about this. And we're talking about...
to be honest with you, don't you think, realistically, that the media coverage is creating more of it?
Of course.
If you would never have known... I mean, I've never even heard the word Syria ever mentioned before, until recently. It was all Iraq, wasn't it? But basically, the media, if they're going to do... They should do a bit of a blackout on it. Just say some people died somewhere, rather than... Because it's going to... People who are getting radicalized are going to get more radicalized, aren't they?
Yep, that's true.
The shrinking world,
What is your background?
Yeah, what do you do?
What's my background? Well, I'm actually a mixed race. I am actually half Irish. My dad is actually part Arab as well, and he's also part German. So I've got that sort of international mix, and I'm from England, Exeter, but I have actually no English blood in me whatsoever. But
well, that's a lot of people who live there.
Yeah, I have English blood. I'm here, and I have English blood.
I do.
Yes, I do.
Part Welsh myself. That's where they came from.
Yeah. England is famed for having loads of different accents in really relatively small distances. 10 miles up the road, the people up there can speak a completely different accent to you.
Yeah.
Like in Northern Irish, Welsh, Scottish, Devonshire, Bristol, London, Newcastle, Liverpudlian, Mancunian, Birmingham. These cities are really close together, but the people sound completely different.
Well, we're going to take a break now. We'll be right back, okay?
Hold on, Dave.
For a commercial.
You're listening to KCAA Loma Linda at 106.5 FM, K293CF Moreno Valley.
Do you like craft beer from microbreweries? Well, I'd like to tell you about Oak Hills Brewing Company in Hesperia. All of their beers are brewed on site from the very best ingredients. Yummy, yummy. Typically, they have between 12 to 14 beers on tap at any given time. And backed by popular demand, Mango Orange Wheat Beer. A delightfully flavored beer with orange and mango juice. It's a little light citrusy beer with a tropical twist. You can also check into some heavier beers, Grapefruit IPA and the Belgium Triple Redemption. You can also bring the kids. Oak Hills Brewing Company offers 3 crafted sodas, yummy root beer, zesty ginger ale, and cream soda. The kids will love them. You can also visit the tasting room and take the behind-the-scenes brewery tour. Oak Hills Brewing Company in Hesperia. They're open 3 days a week, Thursday from 3 to 9, and Friday and Saturday from 1 till 10. Go up right after you hear the show. For more information, go to their website. It's oakhillsbrewingco.com. oakhillsbrewingco.com. You'll find a map with directions and a list of all their beers. To find the best craft beer in Southern California, just remember Oak Hills Brewing Company in Hesperia. Take the 15 up to the 395, pass 2 signals, and turn right on Poplar. Oak Hills Brewing Company, Hesperia.
Listen to KCAA Loma Linda for less confrontation and more information.
Just when you thought you couldn't wait any longer, Lloyd and Greg are back.
Yes, we are.
We're here.
We're talking to David. You still there?
Yeah, I think I might be stealing the show here. I just thought that I'd try and help a little bit, because I think about stuff a lot, and I feel so sorry for people racking their brains on things that I've really racked my brain already on. Because I studied a lot of maths and physics and different types of business and stuff, so I know like a lot of different things about reasoning and rationale.
Good.
So I just, to a really high level, like master's level.
What do you do for a living?
I like thinking about thinking, and I like knowing what I don't know, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. What do you do for a living, David?
I run a small taxi business, and I'm like a landlord. I live in like Exeter's a student town, so I lease out basically a house, like a small building to a load of students. Okay. So it's like I'm like a small businessman.
How are you?
And I'm 30 years old.
How is England dealing with the refugee crisis?
How's England?
As far as vetting,
because we're separated from the mainland. Basically, my ability to argue and discuss is at a really high level, but I think the society, although it may be comprising of good people, they've got a mentality of 14-year-olds, like they're in school, and automatically when you're in school, you just, for some reason, you bully and you gang up on people who are different first. You're not going to bully your own self. You're not going to look towards your own faults. And I think the first thing they blame everything on is immigrants and migrants. Yeah, I can't even see. I don't even know any migrants or immigrants. I was speaking to a girl the other day, and she was like, England's full up. I was like, is it? because I read a survey the other day that said England would really begin to buckle once there was 480 million people in here. There's that much land and sort of area to go around, and that's if we didn't have a massive upgrade in our infrastructure, you know. So really, I think people have got a 14-year-old's attitude on things, because a 14-year-old has got the same brain power required to drive a car, required to do anything, really. And if you stop thinking after then, I mean, like really thinking, you'd get by, you know.
Yeah.
And as soon as you saw something different, you'd bully them, wouldn't you? And you'd call them names, and you'd do stuff like that. So it's easy just to say, these people.
Our question, though, David, was the immigrants that are coming from Syria and around into England. What is that impacting you? How's that impacting you?
Oh yeah, because basically what I'm saying is my compatriots, they're all such bullies. If there was a way of separating us, which there is, which is a massive, massive island between us and them, we've accepted 5,000 refugees.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, we have some states here in the United States that refuse to accept any, and now the government's going to force them on those states and say you can't refuse, even though they haven't been vetted properly,
that's right,
investigated. And he said, our own FBI can't do a proper job of that. They said it would take months and months because these people don't have any records of their past.
Yeah, that's true. They don't even know their own birth dates.
Yeah, well, we don't have, in Syria, we don't have access to that computer that's sitting on, right there at the Capitol.
But I think you could, you could pay, you could create some jobs and do polygraphs and some truth serum, but also if whatever country doesn't want to take immigrants for whatever reason, might not be suitable, just pick up the bill like an international tab. So rather than, if you can't accept people, with a whole heart, then just don't accept them and just pay the amount.
They should stay in their own country, and we should provide a way in which they can go back to that country.
That's right, I agree.
And a lot of the other Arab nations don't want to accept them. We've got Jordan accepted some, but Saudi Arabia doesn't want any. And a lot of the others do not want any. And as I say, a lot of times that's very suspicious that they don't want any.
But then again, like a 14-year-old, these people are different, but they're not different because they're the same. That refugee is you or me. You just have to have been born in Syria. Not very long ago either, because,
Yeah, but they have the capability of being radicalized over the period of time. Look at those...
Well, you have the capability to be radicalized.
Sure.
Anyone can be. So just because there's a war on in your country, what I'm saying is that logically...
They do this as a profession, though.
We're all
they're
the same,
pro.
really, and just cough up the money, and I don't even think we should be talking about this. And this ISIS lot, just get rid of them. Expedite it quickly. Get rid of them. We marched 200,000 troops, into the... Just get rid of them. I don't care what you do. Just get rid of them. And news black it out. News black it out. And offer money to people who are getting radicalized. Look, come in. Don't get radicalized.
Well, they found out the billions of dollars that have been spent without any success in eradicating this cockroach.
Yeah, that's right.
And also the massive cost in human life and lack of productivity. At any 1.3% of the world is a refugee or moving out. What is it? What are they called? Displaced. But anyway, what I was mad as hell about was your country, and this is why I was talking about America rather than just England. Your country's got the highest number of men at arms and its biggest army. But it's also got the largest population of people in prison.
That's right.
Yep.
Right. And I'm just thinking to myself, what? And most
effective
people
law
are sort
enforcement,
of black or whatever. But how does, in my mind, how does prison? What is prison meant to be? Like, why do we put people in prisons when how is punishing someone for their crime going to, in that manner, locking them away, going to do anything to them other than make them brutalize them?
Yeah, that's true.
And, you know, if we wanted to do that, we should just enact the exact level of punishment to whatever they did to us. So if they punched us in the face, we should get a machine and punch them as hard back in the face. We should do that. Locking them away in prison.
No, I advocate somebody like Devil's Island. Remember, you know, I think some people should never get off that island. And some of them do come back.
I agree with you there. If people are so bad as to be, rehabilitatable, then we should just get rid of them, humanely, But I don't think that is the case. Do you know really, really bad paedophiles in England? Sexual paedophiles in England.
Right.
What they do now, and you wouldn't believe this, but when you get released after you've served your sentence, every 3 months they have a lie detector test on you, and they monitor your communications and everything, and they give you drugs that chemically castrate you, so you would not be able to basically be have like a sexual
We use
function.
that in the United States. We have that.
So basically, you take someone who's an awful, awful human being, and you disarm them totally. If they even think about doing anything like that, the lie detector every 3 months will pick it up. If they wouldn't be able to do anything like that, even if they're thinking about it, and they wouldn't be able to do anything like that because they've been chemically castrated. So actually, there are methods instead, but you've got 3 million people in prison who are getting angrier and angrier and being brutalized. 3 million people brutalized in jail. How does the country sleep at night? We don't have anything near that. 3 million people in jail who are. If I was to go to jail, I'd lose my house, I'd lose my reputation, I'd lose my girlfriend, my friends. So the damage done to me is much more than, say, the crime I'd done. If I'd stolen a car, that's bad, and it causes misery to people. But it's only money, it's only a thing.
This happens
take from me my life and everything.
Yeah,
I don't
lose
think
everything
that's right.
here,
I'm not saying it shouldn't be punished. What I think is they should put an electronic tag around your leg.
They do that. They do
curve
that.
you inside your house. Your
They do
prisoners
that.
inside your own home, so they don't have to pay for prisons.
But there's
And,
not enough.
They should put you on.
Right there, there's not
what?
enough people to monitor those people with those electronic
bracelets. That's right.
And some cut them off, and they don't. It's here again. The system is broken.
That's right.
So
Well, yeah, but at least we're not torturing people. You lose much more than the time that you're in the jail. You lose your life, basically, and you're going to find it very hard to get it back. So we've really brutalized people under the guise that we're somehow rehabilitating them. Whereas I think if you had a tag on you, you could still go to the gym, you could still do all your normal stuff, you could still keep your house, but you wouldn't be able to go and have fun or outside or anything, or buy a gun or anything, and we wouldn't have to pay for you. And we could put people on courses which we know work. We know courses work, and we know we've got drugs. We know we've got truth serum, and we know we've got.
You sound more like Obama right now when he just said to empty the jails of all these drug-related
guys. Yeah,
thousands of prisoners are let go, but they said they were nonviolent, and that's bull.
That's right.
These are some of the most violent people.
That's intriguing.
They're
I
very
know
violent.
About, but why do you mean it's bull? Because
they can't get their dope, and they become crazy, and they do crazy things.
And they'll kill you.
Yes.
And a lot of these people have.
Yeah, but I mean, if they were non-violent, then they wouldn't have done, would they?
No, but they were caught for non-violent crimes.
That's
but
right.
You
don't know how violent they are.
Yeah.
How many people they've hurt.
That is a good point. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm encouraging, like the full range of logic here. Yeah, obviously, these people could be violent, but are they violent, or is it the drugs that's making them violent? Are the people themselves?
We're going to find out.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We've got another commercial coming up, and I appreciate your time, David. Feel free to call us with any time you're mad as hell.
Yeah, please.
Sure, I'll leave you to it, all right? Sorry I took your show.
That's all right.
Hey, thank you.
Call back.
Bye-bye.
Sure. No, that's fine.
Thank you, David.
Bye-bye.
Good day.
Is it that time? Your car needs a smog check? Well, check out Quick Smog Check in Montclair. They guarantee your vehicle will pass or you pay not a thing. That's right. If it doesn't pass the test, what the heck? You don't have to pay. So what's the reason why you're not calling them? The number 909-626-5436. You can also drive right down there now. 5438 Holt Boulevard in Montclair. They're open 9 to 5, 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Do it now. No wait smog checks at Quick Smog Check in Montclair. 909-626-5436.
A penny for your thoughts? Sorry, ideas are priceless. KCAA.
Still mad as hell? Lloyd and Greg are back.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, you know, something you didn't cover, Lloyd, that we should have covered is that woman had pledged allegiance to ISIS on her social page, and it was being done while she was massacring these people. It seems really ugly.
Well, it's evidently this was the plan all the time, and somebody was saying that they talked to somebody who knows about these women, and he said more and more women are doing this that are radicalized, and they find these individuals who have no meaning to their life,
right?
And they bring meaning to it with themselves. They offer up themselves,
yeah,
and say, "Look, we're going to help you do this."
Wow!
And there's going to be more and more of this happening,
right?
And so, you know, accepting refugees without knowing
who they are.
Just, like the gentleman from England said, maybe we should use a lie detector test on every single one of them.
Well, of course.
But we'd have to do that with somebody who speaks their language.
Sure.
And know exactly what to do.
Because it's a lot of it's what their eyes
are
saying.
Operating that machinery, that's half the
battle, knowing what the eyes are saying, what the other, yeah.
Because I know Jack Tremarco is one of the foremost polygraph experts in the United States. Former FBI.
That was a friend of yours, wasn't it?
Yeah, he is. And he was telling me, he said, not everybody can do this. He said, you've got to know how to ask the right questions and see their reaction. So it has to do with body language. It has to do with a lot of different factors.
But I can see how it would work, if you did it right, you could get... just with a few questions,
But you have so many sociopaths out there.
Yeah, that would be the problem. You can't wire them.
That have no conscience.
No conscience at all.
And they can lie, and it doesn't show up.
Doesn't show up, exactly.
Because they have no conscience about it.
Yep.
But you get, as I say, vetting these people is going to be a horrendous task.
Yes.
And
we can see that our neighbors don't see that it's that bad.
Well, and then Governor Brown says, bring them on. We can do it.
Yeah, bring them on. Take our guns away and bring them on. Yeah.
Yeah. As I say, there has to be more done to monitor these individuals, and without putting listening devices on every single phone and following that. But I think that we need awareness.
And we need more surveillance. We do. We need more coverage on
our
these
neighbors know what's going on. But they're for
afraid.
Fear.
Yeah, you said the neighbor. I listened to that deal, and he said I wanted to call several times, but it just didn't want to get involved. I just didn't want to.
And then I'd be listed as a racist.
Listed as whatever.
I think you could. You can always call We Tip.
Yeah.
And don't give your information. Nobody knows who did it.
Nobody knows who you are. Sure.
So I think that in that instance,
we do have a deal, like he said, about getting paid for informants. We do have a system. I don't know who uses it, but we do have it. We Tip, and some of the others. I think local law enforcement have things.
Well, sometimes they have rewards.
Yeah, rewards.
You could have a standard reward of $10,000 for every terrorist you turn in and turns out to be a terrorist.
Sure.
And that would probably save a lot of money and time and effort.
You'd be surprised on how many might turn up out of the woodwork too.
Normally you can't just throw money at a problem and say it's going to go away.
That's right.
Look at our school system.
Money is creating this problem. They're being funded. These cells are being funded. Don't kid yourself. This woman, if her directive was from over there, that she didn't have adequate funds, and this man had adequate funds because of her.
They spent $30,000
on ammo, right?
Well, on all this equipment things.
Yeah. Well, where'd they get that?
And they had. It was reported they had GoPro cameras.
Yeah.
So they wanted to film all this and
sure.
I guess send it back to ISIS.
Sure.
Hopefully it didn't get
publicity,
there.
Right?
Yeah.
Little.
But there's you've got to be able to stop these people, and you've got to recognize the individuals that are doing this. And like they said, it's more prone to the silent individual at work who doesn't socialize that much. Maybe he's an introvert or she's an introvert, and they just keep their own counsel. So it's very difficult to determine what these people are going to do.
That's right. Well, during the Crusades 1,000 years ago, they used no guns. There weren't any guns and a lot of people died. Lots of folks died because
they had spears and arrows.
Spears and arrows and hatchets and what have you. But
burning at the stake.
Burning at the stake, sure. They did all kinds of
they'll
things.
Find
they
rocks.
Were wrong. They'll find a way to kill you if they want to kill you.
The caveman used a rock.
Rock, whatever, yeah.
But it's not humorous at all when people lose their lives over things like this. Is just amazing that this man had to be a sociopath, otherwise he would have thought about his child, the 6-month-old child.
That makes no sense. That's just absolutely mind-boggling. I talked to a lady, a nurse, and she said she thought that it was an accident, that the woman didn't take care. She's had a mission and well-planned, but maybe she didn't use birth control or whatever, got pregnant, and it was an accident. That's what her take on it was. And that's as good
regardless of what it is, but they encourage you to have as many children as
you can.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know about that part.
Well,
I guess
that was reported out of there. That's what ISIS wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And just, it's not I just never thought in a million years they would come right here to this town and do something like that.
Yeah, we talked about it, about 8 weeks ago or so. We talked about this very thing.
Yeah.
And we were isolated. I didn't think it was coming here.
I thought I'd go to Vegas or, someplace
somewhere.
Like
back
one
east.
of the sports
arenas,
stadiums and things like that. But they're well guarded, and they have machines there and everything else. But I never thought, and they said that they do this because they're soft targets in places that are out of the way. And it's just a very unfortunate.
If you look at the bios on all these folks that were killed and injured, they were such nice people, and they did such good stuff for our world and our society. It's just such a shame that people like this can walk through the.
And several were refugees themselves.
Yeah. One was a refugee escaping this very thing, this very violence from Iran, and she loses her life. What's the probability 30 years later?
It's not fair.
It's not.
And all we can do is, as I say, we can pray for the best. And
that's right.
For their souls. And
anybody that can help these folks should step up and help these folks with whatever they need. This is America. Right. We help each other.
And they should.
That's right.
If we were planning on having another guest, but he couldn't show this time. So we'll have to have next week. We'll
get him next week.
Somebody else on.
Yeah.
As I say, I still
want to
talk about.
Do you want to do this a little? Do you want to do the relationship? I think maybe relationships would be good.
Well, relationships are a big problem, and as I say, we have people who need a relationship because they don't have any meaning in their life.
That's right. It could give them meaning. Void. That's right. Fill that void
with another person's presence.
Sure.
Give you meaning.
Yeah.
And that's what families are about and everything else. You see them, you watch them grow and prosper. But then there's those individuals that
under the guise of religion, under the guise of different things that just come and want to hurt you.
Well, yeah. And I don't have the answer to that.
No.
If anybody does.
Yeah, sure.
The answer is not more gun control.
It's not. That's definitely not the answer.
And
look at Paris. Look at Paris. They have the best gun control in the world, and that still happened.
In Chicago, there's no
Chicago,
guns
yeah,
there.
no guns in Chicago at all,
We have a lot of communities that forbid, and there's no guns in a certain area.
Yeah.
Then that's where more guns are found, and people are going to exploit that. But here, it's not the answer, because as I said before, 93% of all gun crimes committed in the United States are done so with stolen weapons, so no amount of background checks are going to prevent this from happening.
And if you look at serial killers, most of them don't use guns. Most of them use various methods of strangulation and all kinds of ways of killing people, So they'd be creative. It'd become creative. You take our guns, somebody will create some other way to kill us, and the bad guy will always have the guns, because nobody's going to take the guns away from the world. You're not going to disarm the world.
Violence is not the answer, period.
That's right. Violence is not the answer. And never. That's right, never.
So just a lot of people say, let's just take the bomb and just go over there. And
yeah, it sounds like a good idea sometimes, doesn't it? When there's things like this and these people are hurting, that probably doesn't sound bad to them.
You see the innocent victims.
But all the innocent victims are way over these radical sociopaths.
Yeah, but there's... as I say, it's going to take a greater mind than
ours.
That's for sure. I don't have the answers. All I can do is put out the questions out there, and hopefully we can find the answers somewhere down the line.
Yeah, but if you have a question or need call us, and we'll try to find the answer, or find somebody that does know the answer, whatever.
But anyway, we'll try to get a show that talks about relationships and how you can fill that void in your life with that other special person.
Sure.
And how to make it last.
Yeah, and how to make it a lasting relationship. That's
lasting relationships are rare.
Yeah. Mine's 46 years long, and, well, we've had to work. We've had some ups and downs and some real hard times. But you know what? It's worth it when I go home and hug her. It's all worth it.
Good.
I'm a lucky one.
I lost my
you lost
few years ago.
What, 50-something?
53 years.
53 years, see? So we know how to do it.
Well, that's true, but one of the things that, as I say, we'll touch upon certain things that are key to a good relationship and go from there.
There we go.
And a lot of times these are true factors that, but any time that somebody wants to leave, they're going to find an excuse.
That's right. There's 100 ways to hate somebody, and there's one way to love. If you love somebody, you'll stay there. You'll find that way. You'll find that one answer that'll keep you together. But you got to search. You can't just the way today is. You have to look.
Just like stopping somebody from drinking or doing drugs.
Yeah.
If a person's family, spouse, his parents cannot make him quit.
That's right.
A counselor can't do that either.
Nobody can except the person.
The individual.
That's right.
It's the way they go.
But you can certainly help them. You can certainly help them make it easier. And they said it's enabling. Well, this man's sick. Don't you patch up wounds and you give medicine when they're sick. You just got to help them and love them. That's it.
Okay, well, we wrap this up. And as I say, we didn't resolve anything. We just brought it up, and we're angry as hell. And seems like a lot of people are, too.
So
our friend from England was very angry.
Yeah, he was angry clear across the waters there.
But a lot of times the answers are not right there. And we can blame a lot of our politicians for...
Yes, we can. That's our deal. We need to change this,
2016 is coming up, so
coming up.
Register to vote.
We have a chance, all of us.
Yeah.
And every vote counts, buddy.
That's right. So... here's to next week. Here's to 2016. It's a little bit early to be doing that, but it's coming quickly.
Yeah, it's coming quickly. Thank you.
Well, it filters through.
This is 1050 AM KCAA Loma Linda and 106.5 FM Yucaipa.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
Houston Rising. I am Keith Arizari. It was number 22 Temple, number 19 Houston in the American Athletic Conference Championship game.
3, 2, 1. The Houston Cougars are American Athletic Conference champions. Their first conference championship since 2006.
That's Kevin Eschenfelder on the call. 24-13, the final score as Greg Ward Jr. He would throw for 88 yards, run for another 148,